Morning settles quietly over the coastal town. The air carries the faint scent of salt and the sound of distant waves brushing the harbor wall. Hinako Yaotose steps out of her home, her school bag slung over one shoulder, the faint click of her shoes marking the start of another day. She usually walks with a friend, but today her companion has messaged that she cannot come. For a moment, Hinako hesitates at the corner, then continues alone, the rhythm of her steps mingling with the cries of gulls and the rustling sea breeze. The path to school winds close to the water. On ordinary days, the sea is calm, a glassy expanse that reflects the pale light of morning. But today, as Hinako glances toward it, something feels slightly off. The tide swells unevenly, ripples breaking the surface in erratic patterns. She slows, resting her hands on the cool metal rail that separates the walkway from the shore. The horizon seems to shift, and beneath the surface, a faint motion pulses upward. Not the roll of waves, but something alive moving with intent. The water parts in a smooth, deliberate motion. A figure rises from the sea, droplets scattering through the air like glass beads catching sunlight. The woman who emerges is pale and still, her long hair clinging to her shoulders as the current slides off her. Her eyes find Hinako's with unbroken calm. For several seconds, neither of them moves. The only sound is the steady rhythm of the tide, pulling and releasing against the shore. Hinako doesn't call out, she simply watches, heart quickening as the figure lingers on the edge of the surf, then slips soundlessly back beneath the water. The world resumes its usual rhythm as Hinako turns and continues toward school. The rest of the morning passes uneventfully. The shuffle of students in hallways, the hum of teachers' voices, the faint smell of chalk and floor polish. It is all so ordinary that the earlier encounter begins to feel distant, like a dream she might have imagined between breaths. When the final bell rings, she packs her things and prepares to leave, expecting to walk home with her friend as usual. But a message arrives saying that her friend must stay behind to help at work. Hinako stands by the gate for a moment, the flow of students thinning around her until she's almost alone. She decides not to go home right away, instead drifting through nearby streets, letting the slow rhythm of the afternoon carry her. The sun lowers behind the buildings, turning the town's edges gold. When she reaches the waterfront again, the sea is darker, the light reflected in broken strips across its surface. The air feels heavier. Hinako stands near the railing, her reflection rippling faintly below. That's when she hears it, a low sound, like a breath drawn through water. She turns. Something moves in the shadows beneath the pier. A shape pushes through the water fast and uneven, and before she can react, it lunges. A monstrous figure bursts upward, its movement violent and unnatural. Hinako stumbles backward, thrown off balance by the sudden force of spray and noise. The creature's outline is distorted, too quick to recognize. A mass of wet muscle and dark raises her arms in instinctive defense, but before it can strike, another impact breaks through the air. The woman from the sea appears again, moving with speed that cuts through the chaos. She collides with the monster, her arm arcing like a blade, and the two crash into the shallows. The clash is brief but decisive. The creature recoils, dragging itself back into the depths with a harsh shriek that fades into the distance. The air stills. Hinako stands frozen, water dripping from her hair and uniform. The woman turns to her, steady and unhurried. Her voice carries clearly even above the sound of the sea. She tells Hinako that the monsters are drawn to her, that something in Hinako's flesh, her scent, her very presence, calls to them. It is not malice, but nature, a truth that cannot be ignored. Then, with the same calm tone, she adds that she will protect Hinako from others who come for her, and that one day, when the time is right, she herself will consume Hinako. The words fall quietly, without threat, as though she is describing a certainty written long before either of them met. Hinako listens. Her expression does not shift into fear. She simply takes in the statement, breathing steadily as the sea rolls against the stone edge. The woman's eyes remain on her for another moment before she slips back toward the water, vanishing beneath the darkening surface as smoothly as she arrived. Moments later, a familiar voice calls from behind. Hinako's friend appears, hurrying down the path. Seeing Hinako drenched, the friend rushes forward, alarmed. She asks what happened, if Hinako fell, if she's hurt. Hinako shakes her head lightly, offering a small explanation that she slipped while walking near the tide. Her voice is even, and the friend accepts it, though her concern lingers. She urges Hinako to go home and change before she catches a cold. Hinako nods, and the two part ways near the crossroads. The streets are quiet on her walk home. Lamps begin to glow one by one as evening deepens. She feels the weight of salt on her skin and the faint chill of water seeping through her sleeves. In her small apartment, the sound of the sea reaches faintly through the open window, a slow, steady rhythm that fills the silence of the room. Hinako dries her hair, sits by the desk for a long moment, and lets her thoughts circle back to the figure in the waves. The words echo again: protection, hunger, inevitability. She doesn't push them away. She simply sits there, listening to the sea, until sleep folds around her. Morning light returns pale and thin. The town stirs awake, and Hinako walks the same route once more, the path still wet from the early tide. When she reaches school, she notices her friend's desk is empty. The teacher explains she's home with a cold. The absence feels heavier than she expects. Class begins, and soon after the door slides open, the teacher introduces a new transfer student. A girl steps inside. Her movements are graceful but deliberate, her expression calm. She introduces herself in a clear, even tone and takes a seat near the window where sunlight touches her hair. The class murmurs quietly, curiosity passing between desks. Hinako glances over, and the world stills for an instant. The face before her is unmistakable. The same eyes, the same presence that rose from the sea the day before. The girl does not avert her gaze. She meets Hinako's calmly, as if greeting her again, in a place where neither of them should be strangers. The lesson resumes, the ordinary hum of the classroom returning. But beneath it, something new threads through the silence. A connection that began at the edge of the tide and has now followed her into the human world.
And that wraps up the recap for episode 1 of This Monster Wants to Eat Me. What will happen in episode 2? Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next recap. If you liked this video, give it a like and let me know your predictions in the comments. See you next time.